Hello, my name is Savannah Rivera, and today I will be discussing the association between sugar sweetened beverage consumption and BMI using the New York Breakfast Analysis. So there are many factors that we know that contribute to the prevalence of obesity and high BMI rates. One is socioeconomic status. So many studies suggest that people that come from lower income or low socioeconomic status experience higher rates of obesity. Lower education rates, poor diet. So this analysis focuses more on sugar sweetened beverage consumption. Health conditions, sometimes having other health issues such as cardiovascular disease or diabetes contribute to obesity prevalence. And lastly, lower physical activity rates. So people, especially nowadays, if people live a more sedentary lifestyle, then they tend to have higher risk of developing obesity or high BMI. So the Behavioral Risk Factor Surveillance System, also known as BREFS or BRFSS, had a study done in 2016 with New York State data. The BREFS system is the largest health survey system in the world. So this analysis used Data IC version 15 to analyze our data. The variables that were collected and analyzed were sugar sweetened beverage consumption, also known as SSB, sex, age, race, education, income, physical activity, and medical history. All variables were coded, and data was cleaned to exclude any outliers such as very underweight subjects or subjects that were morbidly obese. Answers that were in the system that represented subjects not knowing or refusing to answer were excluded. So during this analysis, sugar sweetened beverages combined both soda and fruit drinks. So when we refer to sugar sweetened beverages, those are the two drinks that we are talking about. All units were converted to beverages consumed weekly. There were 4 categories that were created for sugar sweetened beverages. So these categories were people that drank no beverages per week, 0 to 1 beverages per week, 1 to 7 beverages per week, or more than 7 beverages. So a linear regression model was run to test the association between sugar sweetened beverage consumption and BMI. Assumptions were checked and regression was run again. The weighting variables were set. After the regression models were run using the weighted variables, they were examined for violations of linear regression. A Lowe's curve was created to assess the unadjusted association of age and BMI. After all of the covariates were adjusted for, a component plus residual plot was created to assess the association of age and BMI. Equal variance was assessed by running the regression model again using complex survey weighting. Normality was assessed using a Q-plot, and descriptive statistics and regression models were created using the Data IC software. So this is one of the tables that were created in this data analysis software. So the total subjects that were involved in this New York study were 22,572. 27% of obese subjects consumed 1 to 7 sugar sweetened beverages. Most males were in the overweight category. 13% of subjects were Hispanic, and blacks have the highest percentage of obesity compared to other races. Education is related to higher obesity rates as well as physical activity level. The chart does present that income doesn't really seem to have any correlation with higher obesity rates. Subjects that are obese are more likely to have history of cardiovascular disease by 11% and diabetes by 18%. So Table 2 does a great job of presenting the 95% confidence interval and p-values of all covariates listed to the right here, from simple and multiple linear regressions. Women do have a higher risk of obesity than men. People over the age of 80 have a p-value of 0 and a 95% confidence interval of 0.016 to 0.033. The p-value and 95% confidence interval for Hispanics and BMI is 0.010 and negative 0.957 to negative 0.127. The p-value and 95% confidence interval for Blacks is 0 and 0.58 to 1.38. And lastly, the p-value and 95% confidence interval for the race category Other is 0 and negative 1.88 to negative 0.97. So in conclusion, BMI is associated with consuming sugar-sweetened beverages such as soda and fruit drinks. Consuming more than 7 beverages per week decreased the chance of high BMI, which was interesting. So more research may need to be done to address that reason. Many covariates affect BMI, such as age, race, and education status. Diseases also have a large influence on higher BMI, such as cardiovascular disease and diabetes. It seemed like diabetes was associated with higher BMI more than cardiovascular disease. But in the future, more interventions and studies must be conducted to find the most efficient way to decrease sugar-sweetened beverage consumption and to decrease high BMI rates. So here's a possible intervention that can be created. So in order to create change, it is beneficial to instill good habits within the youth in general, but this intervention that I created focuses more on middle school students because I feel like they're at an age where they're willing to try to change and they're not too young to understand what they're doing. So the New York Department of Health already has a program to encourage healthy nutrition in the school systems. So a randomized control study can be used to select students that will participate in nutrition seminars once a week to receive education on the health effects of sugar-sweetened beverage consumption and overall nutrition facts throughout the school year. So the intervention group will fill out a pre, mid, and post-study survey explaining their weight and how much sugar-sweetened beverages they consume every day, throughout the whole year. If participation is consistent, the intervention can follow subjects to the high school setting to continue data collection. So obviously, the biggest issue for in-school interventions is funding, but the New York Department of Health has a lot of grants that they apply for, and some, depending on the school system, which schools are most in need, they are able to qualify for those financial services.